Welcome to the Richard Sherman podcast, brought to you by Superdraft Fantasy. Daily fantasy is broken, and Superdraft has fixed it. Listeners can discover why with their first $5 Superdraft contest for free with the promo code PFF at registration. No credit card required. Download the Superdraft app and play today.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. Don't you ever talk about me. Picked off. It is Richard Sherman. It's picked off by Sherman. Now, buckle up. Here he goes. And it is intercepted by Richard Sherman. Broken up. Picked off. This game is over.
Hey, welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast. It is me and my guy, Mitch Eisenstein, back at it again. Let's talk about this week. Von Miller to the Rams. Why?
What is going on with the Rams, Richard?
They're trying to win. And their GM is showing everybody that, hey, I know you've heard that the salary cap's an issue. It's just not an issue for me.
It's like they go and pay Todd Gurley, highest paid running back in the NFL. Aaron Donald, highest paid running back in the NFL. They gave Jared Goff a massive contract. And they still have money, and a lot of those guys aren't on the team anymore. And now they get Von Miller for peanuts on the dollar.
Even crazier, they got the Broncos to pay for it.
Right.
They got the Broncos to pay $9 million for a second and third round pick, basically, and give away Von Miller, one of the best players in the history of this National Football League. And people were like, oh, Von Miller's impact, he's not what he used to be.
He's still Von Miller.
He is Von Miller. And you're going to talk about he's not going to be the guy. He's not going to be iced, double teamed every play. You got to worry about Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd, and then we got to leave somebody for Von Miller.
And not only that, you look at offensively. This is a team that's going to easily put up 30 points a game when they need to, and you have the probably most dominating defensive force in football in the last decade in Aaron Donald. And then Von Miller just conveniently right next to him, getting after the passer.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough to plan for. It's going to be disruptive, and people are like, well, they're not going to get a sack every play. They're not. But in the fourth quarter of ball games, when the game's on the line, or there's a 3rd and 8 where you're just thinking, man, this is going to be rough. And then you got Jalen Ramsey back there, covering. And now they got the pass rush is going to get even hotter. It's going to give him even more opportunities to shine and thrive. And the NFC West just got a lot tougher.
The Rams are thinking like 5 steps ahead of everyone else. I know they traded a starting linebacker last week, and everyone's like, why the heck would they do that? Well, here's your answer, folks. Von Miller. Richard, you guys have some parallels in your career. Obviously you played for Seattle for 7 seasons. Then you move on to a new team. Von played for the Broncos for 10 seasons, won a Super Bowl, all that and stuff. Is probably going to be in their Ring of Honor when it's all said and done. I would assume you would be as well. Like, what's it like? What advice would you give to him in going to a new city and just being amongst new teammates?
Just have fun, because it hurts, it stings, especially mid-season. I got to spend the off-season and process it and prepare myself for the season with the new team to get acclimated. He's coming in the middle of the season like I'm doing right now with Tampa Bay. And so it's different, you just got to get in there, introduce yourself, try to acclimate as best you can and have fun, because it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of pressure. Football is a crazy game. But I think when you get in those situations and you go back to the foundation of just enjoying yourself, enjoying what you do, it makes it easier, and he's a great football player. He spends a lot of time in LA. So it's not going to be a place he's unfamiliar with. It's not like he's going to in New York or the other side of the country or the East Coast time or things like that. He is going to the NFC, which is different for him. But I think he's going to have a lot of success like he always has, and I think it's less pressure for, people game planning specifically for him. They're going to game plan for him second or third. And it's just going to elevate his game even more. So, at the end of the day, he has to find a way to process what has happened, and I think that's the part of that's going to be toughest and take the longest is just processing why it happened, when it happened, and just knowing that he'll never be back there.
He'll always be loved there, and he's moving to a new city where he's got a legitimate shot at winning a Super Bowl, another one to add to his resume. Richard, to kind of segue, we're almost midway through the season. I guess 1 week away from over midway point. Outside of Tom Brady and any Buccaneer player, who are you giving the MVP to? Mid-season MVP. One name.
It's gonna suck, and it's gonna be cliche, but it's Aaron Rodgers. I'm not one of those guys that subscribes to all this new school, young school. Oh, you're tired of his greatness. You're tired of how well he plays. You're tired of, hey, he lost his number 1, 2, 3 receiver and went out there and beat the undefeated Arizona Cardinals. You're tired of hearing about it. Oh, he had an offseason where he told the team he wanted to be traded, but still come back MVP form and is leading his team like no other, like a man, on a mission. It's Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers every time. If it's not Tom, then it's A-Rod.
That's an incredible take. Guys, we have an awesome guest, one of Richard's best friends. Bobby Wagner joins the show next.
Welcome to the Richard Sherman podcast, brought to you by Super Draft Fantasy. If you're a real football fan, you know that daily fantasy is broken. Super Draft has fixed it with their new game, Super 15. Listeners get their first $5 game for free, no deposit required, with the code PFF at registration. You know the game. Pick your best 5 players off the grid with $15 in salary and let it ride. It takes less than a minute. Watch me pick a new lineup every week and see if you can beat my score. Download the Super Draft app and see if you can beat me to win cash prizes. Just use the code PFF at registration for your first $5 contest free. No credit card required to claim the offer. Offer only eligible for new accounts. All right, here we go. Super Drafts, Super 15 contest. You know what it is. This week with my $5 pick, obviously I lost to Mitchell last week, guys. Let's not give him too much credit. Let's not,
baby.
Toot his horn or anything. Jeez Louise. But this week, Josh Allen, lead me to the promised land. You're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are struggling a bit right now. They're reeling, and I need you to keep them reeling, and I need you to be productive. So Josh Allen with my $5 pick. After that, I'm going with one of the hottest quarterbacks in football right now, Mr. Joe Burrow, and his boy Jamar Chase. That connection has to keep going for my $4. Come on, Joe Burrow, 2+ touchdowns in just about every game you've played. Keep it going. Then we got Debo, who's just been killing it. So much yak. Last week he got 88 yards of yak on an 84-yard touchdown. You tell me how that's done. He did it. Come on, do it for me. After that, we got Damian Harris. I picked him a couple weeks now. Damian, I need you to show up for me. He's gotten, 5 touchdowns in the last 6 games or something like that, or 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games. So continue that streak for me. I need you to put points on the board for me. After that, we got Cortland Sutton for my $1 pick. Come on, Denver Broncos. I know you just traded Vaughn. You guys are emotional right now. Cortland, I need you to steady the ship, make some big plays for me. Those are my picks.
Richard, you know what? I got a phone call before we jumped on, and it was none other than our friends and sponsors at Super Draft. They let me know I finished 11 in the entire world, 11th overall. You're dealing with one of the best over here, Richard, and I plan on winning again this week. I'm going to lead my team off with a $4 pick of Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs have been kind of muddling around here over the last month. I think Tyreek Hill gets a get-right game. He's going to explode for a 40-plus pointer here. We'll see what happens there. My $3 choice, Matt Ryan. Struggled last week against the Panthers. I think they bounce back. He's surprisingly been PFF's highest-graded quarterback since week 4. There's a helpful tip for you guys out there. I'm also joining the Deebo Samuel train, Rich. He's been an absolute stud this year. Like you said, most yards after catch. But we got to cancel each other out sometimes. Then I'm going to go with your buddy, Mr. Route Tree, Keenan Allen, projected to have the 5th most catches this week. Chargers play Philly, going against our boy Big Play Slay. We see how he does. Then, my favorite head end for the rest of the year. I told you this after you picked him. Kyle Pitts, highest PFF receiving grade of any rookie pass catcher this year. Those are my picks. Jump on board with me. Hopefully I finish top 10 this week. We'll see what happens, though.
Mitchell, this is why we don't give you nice things. This is exactly why we don't give you nice things.
I just got to go and take them, Rich.
We have a wonderful guest on here with us this week. Bobby Wagner has his own personal lake. one of the best players in Seattle Seahawks history, a Hall of Famer. Welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Tell them about your, what you built in your backyard, man.
Nope. I'm not telling them nothing. I'm not telling them nothing. How you feeling? It's the bye week. You're halfway through the year. How the body feel?
My body feels good. You always know that your body feels a lot better when you win. And so It was good to go into the bye week with a win and, feel like we're moving in the right direction.
Right. I mean, bro, what are the Rams doing? Like, they got to be printing money or something. Like, they need to. And first off, how y'all get the Broncos to pay $9 million of the salary to you? Like, who? Bro, I swear they getting away with the most nonsensical trades. Like,
every time you think the Rams have no money to do anything, they prove you wrong.
Right.
And when I saw that, I was like, okay, how did they do that? How did they get Von Miller? I know he got a nice little contract. And then I found out that the Broncos is paying majority of the contract and they only got to pay like $700K. I'm like, kudos to them.
Kudos to them. But how? How are they finessing like that?
They GM got to do a GM class or something.
Right.
Salary cap, everybody that's in charge of that situation, they got to show us the breakdown, how they breaking down that salary cap.
Right, because nobody can make it work. Nobody got no money. Nobody can keep it together. But
Rams do.
Rams do every time.
Rams got it.
So, I mean, this season, just like every other season for you, has been really consistent. You've been, a steady force on that defense. But you guys seem to have turned it around in the last 2 weeks, playing very sound football, staying on top, limiting the big plays. What has changed?
I think the biggest change has been the communication. I think, as you know, sometimes you're out there and you have these nonverbal communications when you play with certain people for a while that, you don't have when you have new guys. And there's a lot of guys that might be thinking something before the play, but like don't want to say it, don't want to be wrong. And, we just, really talk through that, whether it's a young guy or an older guy, we had to talk through that because the only way we're going to play better is if we, out there all playing together and seeing the same thing. And so I think that was the biggest thing. We made a couple little bit of adjustments, within the scheme. And, we just had guys get healthy at the right time. And, we had Trey Brown come and play some really good minutes for us. And it's been just overall just everybody locking in and really just understanding what we got to do to be great in this league.
How big? Because Quandre has been playing great ball for a number of years now. Ever since he came to Seattle and, continued that last week. How big has he been for this defense and just kind of steadying the ship?
He's been huge because his communication is off the charts and his knowledge for the game is off the charts. And so, like to have a guy like that in the back end that understands defense, understands concepts, and able to relay that to the young guys on the back end has just been huge for us. Like it's priceless. It's priceless how valuable he is to our defense.
Man, and it seems like y'all gonna get healthier next week, going into next week's game after the bye. From what I'm hearing, Russell Wilson's got the pins out of his fingers. They're talking about his practice. They keep everything under wraps. But how big would that be for like the morale of the team? Obviously Geno has been playing well, and Geno's been playing fine. It's just unfortunate a few plays here and there have kind of derailed the ball games. But I think y'all have been in every game and had a chance to win every game. But how big is that? In terms of a leadership perspective, and obviously a lot of young guys respect what he's able to do. How big is that coming back for the team?
I think it's huge, man. He's a leader on his team. He's a guy that's been around for a long time, has valuable knowledge. And so I think it's huge. I think they're working through that. Hopefully this bye week, gets them a little bit closer to coming back. We don't necessarily know when exactly he's going to come back. But, I think it was cool to have Geno come out and just play as well as he did, as strong as he did, finish the game. And so we know we're in a good situation regardless. If Russell's able to come back before everything, we're good. But if he's not, we know Geno's able to, hold it down until we get back. And defensively, we got to continue to get better because we have, I believe, Green Bay, Arizona, and then in Washington. So we have a nice little stretch for us here. So we got to make sure that we locked in. But I definitely feel like the morale will be great, having Russell back, but we also very, very confident in Geno.
Yeah, and Chris Carson, will be huge for the run game, a huge boost in that department. He's supposed to be coming back for a very tough stretch for you guys, and you're gonna have to see the Rams in Week 15. That's gonna be a fun matchup for everybody. I mean, that division was already a freaking murderer's row, and now you freaking throw Von Miller in there.
Man,
but
we got the toughest division in football for sure.
No question,
without a doubt.
No question, and it's been that way for a number of years, and people have almost ignored it. I think of the last 10 Super Bowls, 5 or 6 have come from the NFC West, and at least from the NFC side. I mean, the Rams have gone once, Seattle's gone twice, San Francisco went twice, Arizona had that year; they had a chance, but MVP Cam came.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, I mean, it's so many different teams, and so it's so different having a 7th playoff spot, so it's like nobody's ever out of the fight. Nobody's ever out of the playoff run. How is that, adjusting to understanding you got a 7th playoff spot and you got 17 games. So knowing that you at the bye week, usually this 8th game is the halfway point, but you got 9 games left. How do you change the way you approach the next 9 games, or is it the same? Or
yeah, I think it's the same. I think it's just, you playing an extra game. So, I think how I mentally, put it in my mind was, that 3rd preseason game that we typically play, a large amount of time, they kind of took that game away. And so basically the game that used to not count counts. And, you don't change anything as far as your preparation with your, how you do treatment and things like that. You just have to understand that it's a longer season. But we used to long season. We win all the time, in Seattle. So we always had playoff games. We always had, games outside of, the regular season. So I don't think it's, anything of the norm for myself, but it's more so just passing that knowledge down to the young guys.
Well, Bob, and it seems coincidental. I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not going to say you've been talking to Norton too much, or all of a sudden you're blitzing way more than you ever have. But they said since 2016, you got the most quarterback hits of any linebacker, any middle linebacker. And I'm not saying, but I'm saying it. Why is that changed? How has that changed in your game? You blitzing more. You're being more disruptive. You're adding a lot more to the pass rush, and you didn't do that, at least when I was there. You know what I mean? At least every now and then, we didn't send you as much. But how's your game evolved in that way?
Yeah, I mean, we never used to blitz. So whenever I got my opportunity back in the day, I knew how to capitalize. And so now it's a combination. I think we blitzing a lot more, but I'm also finding ways where, if I'm in man coverage and I know my guy's not going out, I'll just go. And sometimes, I could tell by the running back, he has a route unless I come. And so sometimes I'll try to get him to stay inside just to come. But I mean, a lot of it is, they give me more of an opportunity. I understand that my opportunities are limited. So, I got to do something with it. And if I do something with it, then they call more. So that's kind of been the mentality.
Or you stand nor near and he called it again.
Yeah, that too. I mean, it's good to have, your guy and on your side. So.
Well, let's pivot and talk about off the field, because, I've known you your whole career and, you're like a brother to me, but I think it's time for us to try to educate these young boys, like off the field. How do you think off the field your mentality has changed in terms of investing your money, in terms of saving your money, in terms of how you think about money and think about growing it? I mean, from real estate to venture investments to, the whole spiel.
I just think I was in a unique situation where the guys that were around me were great mentors like yourself, Cliff, Cam, Mike Bennett, KJ, tons of other guys that we was always into other things outside of football. So like we dominated the game, and then we did other things than just sit there and just focus on that. So I just remember the conversations that we would have about trying to, if we were doing a marketing deal, and don't just do the typical, they give you cash, but see if you can get a piece of the company. And so it kind of started with that. And, I've never been a guy that was having to like be flashy or, feel like I had to keep up with somebody. So the things that I have, are things that I want, but I kind of did it backwards. Like when I got to the league and I saw everybody got in the league and got the cars, got the houses without even making sure their situation was straight. And so I did the opposite. When I got to the league, I made sure my situation was straight before I started buying some of the things that I wanted to buy. And I think that's the first thing. Before you get investing and all these different things, like if you don't have nothing to invest, then, it'll never work out. And so I think that was the biggest thing is just I took the time to learn. I took the time to understand like what it was money could do for me and just expose myself. And so I started it with the marketing stuff. Then the marketing stuff went to investing because naturally it's like, a company may not offer you the money that you want, but they'll offer you an opportunity to invest. And so then the investing went to like private equity, and then private equity went to venture, and then venture went to, start like trying to invest in companies later and companies super early where, it's kind of like taking a chance. And so, but all of that took time, and I took the time to learn. And I think that's the most important thing with these young men that are coming up is like, we have to take time to learn the business that we in, the football business and off the field.
Right. And I think both are important, but we know the football business really well. I mean, that like the back of your hand. You grew up into it, you understand that. But I think financial literacy and education and understanding venture funds and understanding equity and understanding how to invest in real estate and see your capital grow is different. And if you don't mind, because you talked about your growth, over time, and now you have your own fund that you're a partner in. If you would like to talk about that, we could talk about that a little bit, or we can go to the next thing.
Yeah. So I kind of talk about the process too. When I got to the league, I realized that we had a lot of time in the offseason. Even when we were winning Super Bowls or going to Super Bowls, we still had a ton of time. We have February to July, give or take, off. And that's a lot of time to do other things. I only know a handful of people that work out longer than 4 hours. You know what I mean? So, outside of that, so I started to expose myself, start doing different internships. I started to go to Silicon Valley and just meet with different companies, meet with different venture capitalist firms out there. Then I did the same thing in Seattle, was meeting with different venture capitalist firms. And I actually got connected to a VC firm through a great connect. And they let me come in and intern. They opened their books up to me. They let me see what they were investing in, what they were doing. And through that, it kind of sparked my interest outside of yourself and Russell Kuhn and other guys that did before me to do my own deal. And when I did my own deal and everybody saw that I was interested in other business, the firm that I was interning with gave me an opportunity to come and be a part of them. And so now I'm a venture partner at Fuse. And, we look at a lot of, software as a service companies and a lot of, just different things. So it's like exposing myself to a new world that I'm like almost a rookie in again. Right. It's like you have to ask those questions. You have to do the work. You have to read the papers. You have to understand the investments. And it's almost like starting over in a new world. And sometimes like guys are not humble enough to start over. They think because they had this success in football or this other world that you could just jump into something else and people are going to treat you as if they treated you in your different field. Right. So that's kind of where I'm at, man. Just I do a lot of personal investments on my own. And I do a lot of investments through Fuse, and we're just riding out. Trying to be like you.
I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. I'm trying to start my own investment fund. I'm not.
Hey, man, I'm with it.
Not everybody's able.
Be Sherman. Be Sherman Investments.
Yeah, let's go. Start it up.
Yeah.
Sign us up. And I see you with the WNBA hoodie.
Come on, man.
Being a girl dad, how big is that to you? You know what I mean? Being a part of supporting that movement. Those women have done a freaking phenomenal job. Congratulations to Chicago and Candace Parker going, bringing this championship back to her city. But it's been really cool to see how much attention and how much growth they've seen, and people finally starting to recognize how talented these women are.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like you watch some of the ratings that the ratings are going up and up and up because a lot of more people are understanding like these games are exciting. These games, like these women play amazing, and the way that they handle the ball, shoot the ball, the camaraderie that they have, it's so fun to watch. Not only that, but the stuff that they do off the field as well. How impactful they are. Off the field, it's just been amazing. So it's really cool to really just have some show some support in something that is really just genuinely, taking over the world.
And what about our Lakers? You know what I mean?
Come on, man.
We coming together.
It's early. Championship teams. You want to peak at the right time. Some teams they start off fast, go crazy, but then at the end of the year they have terrible. They're terrible into the playoffs and they get out. We understand. We do this. We'll win at the right time and then we'll be ready. You know what I mean? So we're good.
Right. A lot of these teams winning championships in the winter. You know what I mean? But they ain't gonna have nothing in the summer. You know what
exactly.
I mean? When they get a trophy
exactly.
out.
Exactly. That's all that matters. You know what I mean? King James, you know what I'm saying? He pacing himself.
He pacing himself, and then we it's chemistry. We're building chemistry, we're meshing, things
exactly.
like that have to happen. And
you got to figure out, Rob doing a good job, Rob Pelinka doing a good job, putting everybody together. Now we got to just get everybody, like, which rotations do we want, and we'll be straight.
Bro, how big was Avery Bradley? Pick him up at the last minute. He out there.
Man.
Hooping.
And we had him the last time, and we, I think he opted out because of COVID. And so that's somebody that, can stop anybody.
Right.
And, it takes a lot of pressure off other guys. Like Westbrook can stop anybody. And so we have just, when people are ready to play defense, like, we'll be there for sure.
And I think it takes a second to adjust to everything we're doing, but you still don't got dudes like THT and Wayne Ellington still haven't recovered from injury. So, I mean, the depth is showing. I'm excited.
Yeah, they're gonna be great, man. I think it's gonna be cool. I'm interested to see how Brooklyn plays. I think Giannis came back with that first game when he came and just started pulling up for three. Like if he got a jump shot, man, it's gonna be
tough
over for the league. And so I think it's gonna be like a really dope season for sure.
I agree. Speaking of Brooklyn, I mean, what about Kyrie, bro? I mean, I don't really have an opinion either way about how you do what you want to do, but that's tough. He putting him in a tough spot.
I think it's just hard because everything that and again, we only see what the media shows us. So I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of stuff that goes on behind the scene that we have no idea what's going on. And so, I think he's had a journey from when he left Cleveland to the Celtics to Brooklyn the first year without KD and all that to, the injuries and now the vaccine thing. I think, like he said in an interview, we're all human. Basketball is like a thing and a huge part in most people's lives, but there's a lot other stuff that's important to people. And so, from what I saw and read, he's possibly changed his religion and all these different things. So the best thing you can do is support him and, try to help him and see him through this tough time. So that's really my opinion.
I'm with that. I support him. I support independent thinking and people. The only thing I have a problem with is you told them boys to come out there and play and help you win a championship. They came. You asked KD to come, he came. You asked James Harden, trade for James Harden, he came. And now you kind of leave him up the creek without a paddle, and these boys out there battling, they doing everything they can. But you was the one that brought them. Outside of everything, it's like be a man of your word. Regardless.
Yeah, but you can't. Nobody saw COVID coming. You know what I mean? And nobody saw that vaccine shot coming because, I don't know how everybody else was, but, there was hesitation across the whole world just because as the vaccine was being, put together, the old regime was part of it. And so a lot of people, in my opinion, didn't trust the vaccine initially because of, some of the stuff the old regime was saying. He was saying some very crazy stuff.
Oh, no question.
Yeah, it's interesting. But again, my only thing that I would say, and the only thing that I would try to understand is whenever somebody is fully against the vaccine and they try to break down why, sometimes it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't come together.
And so that's my whole thing. If you can make it make sense, I'm with you. If you can't, then you got to do what's best for your family and your friends and your peers and this is a selfless decision that you got to think about something other than yourself.
And that's the only thing that kind of gushes me. It's like, because you've taken so many vaccines your whole life and you had no idea. Like,
right.
you gotten every shot. To go to school, you have to take this shot. To travel to Africa, you got to take this shot. Shot. To go places, you have to take shots. And not that we're ignorant, but you're not educated fully on every one of those vaccines, every one of those shots you take. And these hoopers, they travel overseas more than anybody. You travel the world, and you have to get certain shots. You have to get vaccinated for certain things. But all of a sudden, this thing, you want to put your foot down. Like, in this moment, you want to put your foot down. You didn't put your foot down in any other moment in time to do anything, because those are convenient moments. Those are moments where it's like, hey, man, I'm about to go on vacation. I got to do this. Bang, I'm going to do it. I'm going to knock it out. But when your teammates, you know what I mean? And I hate to bring this into it because everybody has their own choices. But at the end of the day, sports are about sacrifice. Like, it's about sacrifice. That's what you've done in sports your whole life. It's like, hey, I don't want to run these gassers, but my teammates need me to run them. Bang, I'm running them. Mm-hmm. My teammates need me to overcome this injury. Bang, I overcome it. And once again, like you said, sports isn't everything, but there is a brotherhood aspect to it. There is a camaraderie to it. There is a part of it that brings more out of you than just the game. Then, it's just basketball. You know what I mean? We do this for fun. Sure, that's a side of it. That's the hoop side of it. But the brotherhood part is much deeper than that and much, much bigger. And that's the part that I think is getting messed up more than anything, because it's like, bro, we showed up for you. Like, and KD and James will never say it. They, guys are, we've been in sports long enough. You're going to say the right things. You're going to do the right things. But it's just disappointing, especially when he tries to explain it. And it's like, those same people that told you to shut up and dribble, the same people that was sitting there, anytime you had an opinion about anything, shunning you, saying they hate you, are the same people out there protesting in front of Barclays, supporting you. Like, oh, he's against it, we against it. Look, we with him now because they agree with what you're saying, and that's it's just a very weird climate we in, man. It's just sad that they're politicizing everything, but I just want to simplify. Like, if you're not gonna play, then cool, don't play. But it's just disappointing.
Yeah, I didn't agree with the like, basically play the 40 games that he could play and then did not play the other 40. I didn't agree with that, because I was like, you can't have your team depend on you 40 or 50% of the time. Like, that's gonna be tough for anybody. So it's interesting. Like, same thing like you said, like, even with the vaccine, it's interesting because, like, we have gotten vaccines pretty much our whole life, and this one forever for some reasons just been different. And two, like, there's hasn't been media the way that it is now, and so everybody has so much information, and whether it's true information, false information, like as a person like myself, like, I'm not a doctor, so whatever I see on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, like, I believe it, because, like, how am I to say, like, who am I to say, like, oh, that's not right, because I don't have the information. Like, if somebody said, oh, that's cover 3 or cover 2 when it's cover 4, I could be like, no, that's not it.
Right.
But in this situation, like, we don't have the knowledge, and so everybody's like, okay, I'm out to do my research, and I'm just like, good luck.
Well, good luck. Like, it's frustrating because that's the common line for everybody. I need to do my research. And no offense, but a lot of these people ain't researched a lot in their lives. Like, you wasn't trying to go to class when it was time to go to class. Now you're doing research. Like, now and that's the part that's frustrating for me. But that's a story for a different day, man. I'm thankful that
my research was really just I'm going to talk to all the people that know what they're talking about and see if they can make this make sense to me. That was my research.
No question. That same with me. I'm going to do as much as I can. I'm going to learn as much as I can about it, and eventually it has to make sense for me. And when it makes sense, I'm going to take the vaccine. And when it gets to the point where, hey, we're not going to be able to function normally without getting the vaccine. Okay, just like if they said, hey, your kids aren't going to be able to go to school without this shot, this shot, this shot, this shot. They've said that, and my kids had to get those shots. And it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but that's the way, that's the life we live in. I mean,
It's crazy though. Like history truly repeats itself, right? And so it was actually kind of funny because when all the Kyrie stuff happened, I don't know if it was Stephon Marbury. Somebody had like said something and supported him, and they called Kyrie the new Muhammad Ali. And then when they said that, like people start putting out videos of Muhammad Ali telling people to go get vaccinated.
Right.
And so it was just like interesting that there was a point in time where there was mistrust for the vaccine for whatever reason. Obviously, I was born back then, but I think it's just all like history repeats itself. And obviously too, and I'm not going to ignore the fact that there has been some very terrible things done, especially to like our community when it comes to what they've done, what they've tried, what they've tested, things of that nature. So I definitely understand the hesitancy, but I also feel like we got to survive this, and I think we're surviving human beings, and you got to do whatever to survive.
Right. You got to adapt and move on. And there's more exposure. You know what I mean? There's more information available. It's not a lot of stuff getting hidden behind closed doors. It's like, hey, what's going on? Everything's on the news. I mean, everything isn't totally transparent. It never is, but there's a lot more access to information than there ever has been in the past. And it's just an odd hill to stand on for some people. It's an odd hill because it seems more like, hey, I'm not taking it because my politics told me not to take it. For some people. And it's like, I just can't understand that, but I don't really want to go that deep down that rabbit hole. It's just too much.
For sure.
But I appreciate you coming on, and we're gonna get together this week and have lunch or something.
Yeah, appreciate you for having me, and definitely just invite me to that big old pool you got that's covered, that's heated. Turn the lights on, man. You know what I'm saying? They call me the Black Phelps. So
I know they call you the Black Phelps. You got a whole lake to swim in, and then it got a diving board that's so tall that I could. But that's a story for a different day. I don't even want to bring y'all there.
That's why they got a ladder. You know what I'm saying?
Right, to dive off, and imagine how deep it got to be for the ladder to be that high. I mean, the lake got to be.
I mean, like I said, God did it. I just so happened to get in at the right time. Yeah, I just had to get in at the right time. That's all.
Okay. Well, when I grow up, God, let me be like Bobby Wagner. Let me be.